Welcome back to the channel, folks. I'm that brother of light, dropping wisdom in your left ear and knowledge in your right. I wanted to, it's a beautiful day outside. I wanted to just have a conversation with you about something that I've been contemplating for quite a while, as I'm in the midst of it and all. And that is, I wanted to explore on this episode the transformative power of embracing change and cultivating resilience. And I'm sure you're aware, just like I am, that change is an inevitable part of life. Yet it can always trigger feelings of uncertainty, discomfort, and even fear. And today, I just wanted to delve into strategies for navigating change effectively and emerging stronger and more adaptable. If you're like me, change can be unsettling. It doesn't matter if it's changes in our professional or personal lives. There's so many conversations and perspectives on how to embrace change in a way that doesn't disrupt our lives negatively. Negatively, right? I mean, we're so afraid of change and what it's going to do to our lives, and this pseudo idea we have of the perfect life. And yet, what we should know is, sometimes negative things happen. And we live in a world to where I posted an article about it yesterday on the Folks Unfettered Facebook page, which I hope you'll like and subscribe to that, talking about toxic positivity and, what it's doing to our society, where we just can't deal with the tough stuff anymore. And that is where this idea came from, as far as embracing the transformative power of change and cultivating resilience, sometimes in the most adverse situations. It's really what this episode is about. And none of us are immune to change, regardless of how much we try to hide from it by building a wall of comfort around ourselves. I mean, I'm in the process of undergoing, significant changes in my life. And at times, the changes I've had these past 3 years, they've been painful. I mean, the loss of my mother, my best friends, my uncle on my father's side, transitioning. It's been a really interesting time of life right now. And, it's been scary, and it's threatened my peace of mind. So in this episode, I'm excited and hope you'll join me as I share my thoughts on this crucial topic as I go through this season of change. Instead of getting to the end of it and tell you what I went through, I would like to have a step-by-step conversation with you as I go through this journey, because change is indeed a constant in our lives, and how we respond to it can significantly impact our overall well-being and success. So I'll start by discussing the importance of embracing change, with the question of, why is it essential to adapt to the ever-changing or ever-shifting landscape of life? Are you ready? All right, here we go. Embracing change is essential to personal growth. And I always tell people this, you go to the gym, you work out, you're going to change your body. That means you have to change your diet. That means you have to change the things that you have done in your life that have worked against you having a healthier lifestyle. Just to put that in essence. Same thing with your faith or spirituality, as some people call it. You have to change certain things in your life, the way you speak, the way you talk, the way you act. If you want a relationship, there's certain changes that are inherently going to come in your life to where you want to embrace someone, to integrate them into your lives. And a lot of times we make that a zero-sum game. So I'll say that embracing change is essential for personal growth, adaptability, and overall happiness. When we resist change, we become stuck in limiting patterns, and we miss out on new opportunities for learning and development. It's the truth of the matter. Moreover, clinging to the past can breed frustration and resentment, hindering our ability to move forward and embrace the present. I've been guilty of this. I've been guilty of living in the past, my past successes, my past failures, both personal and professional, as opposed to, taking a glance back and really seeing what I can learn from that, and then taking that evidence and not applying it in most cases into a new situation as an effort to start fresh. The sun's in my eyes, so it's shades time. Part of change, you see with the program, I'm taking us outside, I'm trying different locations. I just don't want to be stuck in a studio all day with a conversation. I want to be more, like I am like you are, casual, relaxed, having this conversation, because it's so vitally important that we encourage one another to grow and evolve as human beings. And sometimes that's not always pretty. So I want to keep in mind, keeping that in mind, everything I said before. Here are some effective strategies for embracing change. One of the most powerful strategies is to develop a growth mindset. A growth mindset is the belief that our abilities and intelligence can be developed through effort and learning. When we approach change with a growth mindset, we see it as an opportunity to expand our skills, broaden our perspectives, and enhance our resilience. So let me elaborate on how a growth mindset helps us navigate change effectively. With a growth mindset, we view challenges as learning opportunities rather than insurmountable obstacles. We embrace feedback and seek new knowledge, believing that we can overcome setbacks and adapt to new circumstances. The positive outlook boosts our motivation, perseverance, and overall ability to cope with change. Now, I know what you're saying, right? Like, Gene, that's an excellent point. However, what are some practical steps we can take to cultivate a growth mindset? One way to nurture a growth mindset is to reflect on our past experiences, like I was saying earlier, particularly instances where we overcame challenges or learned from setbacks. That's a vital importance, and I want you to notate that. Recognizing our capacity for growth reinforces our belief in our abilities and enhances our confidence in facing future challenges. Meaning, I've done this before, this has been tough, I can overcome it this time. And if you want something different, you can say, I did it before, maybe it wasn't the right person, maybe it wasn't the right situation. If you believe you have the right person, believe you have the right situation, then you dive into that change. A lot of times we don't do that, we pull back, right? And that's a self-limiting belief. But, so that's just one way that I believe we can do that. So I hope you see that reflection is key to developing a growth mindset. Here's what else we can do to embrace change successfully. We can practice mindfulness and self-compassion. Mindfulness allows us to stay present in the moment, recognizing our thoughts and emotions without judgment. This mindful awareness helps us manage stress and anxiety associated with change, enabling us to respond calmly and rationally. Or this sort of pie in the sky, rainbows and unicorn attitude. People say, what's wrong with that? If you kind of don't live in reality. It's just another way of avoiding change. And if we embrace change, it's amazing that how we can grow. We can grow to heights. We can accomplish things. We can change our world, even if it's one person at a time. And I just wanted to really sort of share with you, because I'm in the midst, and I've been in the midst, I think, for the last 3 years of a lot of change. A lot of change. I was always good on my feet. Some of the changes have been really, really hard, potentially devastating. Some of the changes were necessary for me to see clearly about relationships that I had, about situations that I was involved in with people, about my business, about my personal life, about what I was doing with my life, my time and my purpose in this world. The purpose of Folks Unfettered, and how we can help you positively impact your life. And don't run from change. You never know what you can find. And I'm not just talking to you, I'm talking to me too. Don't run from change. Do whatever you have to embrace it, to cultivate a resilient mindset. People talk about manifesting, but we willing to do the work. And that takes a lot of internal reflection, takes a lot of courage, takes a lot of faith, takes a lot of humility, takes a lot of self-compassion, as I mentioned earlier, and empathy. There's just a lot of things that not a lot of things. There are things that we need to consider if we really want to live a life to where we are embracing change and cultivating resiliency in adversity. And I haven't handled change well. Sometimes my resilient nature tends to go on strike. Sometimes I don't want to bounce back. But I'm hardwired to bounce back. Not everyone is. Someone said to me, given my last 2 or 3 years of going through a transformation, that it's overwhelming. Maybe it is. The only thing I know how to do is take one step at a time, one engagement at a time. And I think that's why I was hit with so much in such a short period of time. And folks, I'm not out of the woods yet. There's no guarantee how this is going to turn out. I just know that I'll get up in the morning, I'll put on my uniform, I'll put on the full armor of God. I will embrace the truth, not my truth, because my truth tends to discount your truth. So I want to look at the truth, embrace that and apply that in every area of my life, best way that I can. Look to engage with networks and like-minded individuals who are supportive in a realistic way, not by words, because you know one of the themes of this show is to go beyond words, but by deeds and actions and the hard stuff. Not like me, I'm willing to sacrifice for people that I love. But wherever I am, I want to bloom where I'm planted. I'm going to create a network of loving, empathetic warriors who are able to change not only themselves, their community, but the world around us as well. It's all about balance. Well, folks, it's been a very personal episode for me, and I know that I wanted to share that with you because whatever it is that you're going through life, whether it's the loss of a loved one, whether it's the loss of a relationship, whether it's the loss of a job, whether it's financial worries and concerns, educational worries and concerns, concerned about your children, whatever that is, you have it within you. If you take these tips and these strategies and you apply them, you can embrace that change, break it down into actionable items, and then just complete one thing at a time. That's the strategy. Don't worry about the outcome. Just one step at a time. And what you'll find is you'll start growing stronger and stronger, which then, what's the term I'm looking for? Ignites your resilient nature. Hey, I did this. I overcame that. Your confidence grows. You grow stronger. All of a sudden, the solution to the problem gets solved. But you got to address it. You got to get up in the morning. You got to show up. You got to show up. That might require you to do some things differently. Be willing to do some things differently for change. You know, it's one of the things that I talk about whenever I'm consulting with clients as a organizational leader. Project management, one of the components that I learned in grad school, one of the subject matters that really I took to in grad school is this idea of change integration and how does it affect the overall organization. And so that's one of the things that I really wanted to look at. I'm reading a book right now on systems thinking, which everything is a system, right? And so those systems have change, which you kind of account for within the book. And I know that's a real nerdy read, but it's kind of cool. And I'm looking I'm applying that in my personal life. You know, sometimes we just kind of wing our personal lives, don't really think about it, or we overstructure our personal lives without any balance. And then when it comes out of balance, we wonder why it blew up. I'm looking for a more balanced approach to not only my professional life, but my personal life. So that starts with me. That starts with my emotions, my mindset, my spirit, my mental health, my physical health, you know, everything to deal with me, so that, you know, whatever relationships I get involved in, I'm prepared to be that person for someone else. I understand what I said there, because a lot of times whenever you ask people, especially if you're in the dating world, where people will say, you know, well, I want a person like this. What about, I hate to say this, but it's like, what he brings to the table. Okay, so to follow up on my conversation that I was just having, I know I kind of went on a diatribe about dating, but I really want to go ahead and transition from that into what I've been reading, and I wanted to share that with you. It's in this book I call Thinking Systems, and I'm reading that, and the chapter that I'm on right now is called Understanding Bottlenecks, and that's where I was going to in our conversation. Let me rephrase that. That's where I was leading the conversation towards discussing dealing with bottlenecks in our personal and professional life. And a lot of people don't really understand the concept of bottlenecks, and so I just wanted to share that with you. At the top, I love my Kindle, by the way, Paperwhite. That's not an Amazon Paperwhite plug, but I carry this thing with me all the time. But this is in relation to the theory of constraints. And in our personal and professional lives, we in our personal and professional lives, we have constraints that we have to deal with. And one of those constraints can be, you know, if they're tighter than the other, then that causes us to sort of get out of whack in our systems. In our life that we built is a system that's made up of a lot of different components, right? And one of the tightest of all constraints is called a bottleneck. And it's the point of the greatest congestion that is causing a delay within the system. And you know, you think about that, right? If your romantic life is not going the way that you want it to go, perhaps there's a bottleneck. Maybe that's spiritual, whatever that is, a bottleneck that's happening in your life, as well as in your professional life. There may be a bottleneck if you're not getting career advancement, or maybe you're moving sideways. And so when we think about the theory of constraints in context of our lives, like I said, many of us don't know what bottlenecks are. That's why many of the self-help mojos stay ineffective. They don't address the bottleneck issue. If we fail to address this key issue, then we'll fail to move forward in life or see anything change. And that's a direct quote from the book entitled "Thinking Systems: The Theory and Practice of Strategic Planning."
because we should, strategically plan our lives, I believe. That's what I am in the throes of doing right now, is strategically planning and replanning all the components that make up my life. That's personal, professional, financial. I'm really doing that. And so one of the things that we are looking to do here at the channel, and that explained the purpose of Folks Unfettered, that we've been talking about for these past few years, is really how do we deal with the bottlenecks of life? How do we deal with those areas of our lives that are really stopping us from reaching our full potential? And in order to, once we embrace change, and that leads us to being more resilient. The iterative step between the change and the resiliency, and they may happen almost simultaneously, is dealing with the bottlenecks of our life, whether it's personal or professional. And a lot of us don't really, some of us, actually most of us don't take the time to really examine the bottlenecks of our life. We look at the outcome or how it makes us feel, or try to drive a certain result. And really we need to look at the bottleneck, the constraints that are stopping us from reaching our fullest potential. And that's going to be our next episode. I believe our next episode, I really want to talk about some theories and concepts behind bottlenecks and how to release them so that you can live a more fulfilled, a more content, and a more exciting life. It is possible, regardless of what you're going through. And you can do it while you're in adverse situations. There's always joy. We just have to sort of find it, right? And so we strongly encourage you to do that. So this is the first episode of our How to Embrace Change and Be Resilient in a Time of Adversity. The next episode after this, I want to dig into the idea of the theory of constraints and bottlenecks in our personal lives. This is the roadmap to becoming a high performer, setting a high performance mindset, and overcoming whatever obstacles you have in your life. You got to live it. You can't just talk it. You got to walk it. You can't just talk it. And so we're going to give you the key ingredients, the strategies, in order for you to walk it. So that when you walk in your office, when you're dealing with a loved one, when you're making an important life decision, or if life just happens to you, you have all the tools and resources that you need in order to overcome those changes, whether wanted or unwanted, that come into your life, by being more resilient and more prepared to meet those changes head on and not lose your mind, quite frankly. So there it is, folks. Thank you once again for joining us here on the program. We look forward to continuing our discussion, and we look forward to you joining us here on Folks Unfettered. And as always, I'm that brother of light, dropping wisdom in your left ear and knowledge in your right. Take care and have a good weekend.